Hi, welcome. I'm Patrick from the United States. This is number 3 of the Poor Polylinguist. So last week we talked about English and Japanese names. This week I want to talk to you about Spanish and Korean names. Maybe you remember that I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina for about 3 months from last October. Argentina is a very long and thin country. It's in South America. It's right under Brazil and right next to Chile. Like many countries in South America, Argentinians speak Spanish. So Spanish and other Romance languages like French and Italian, they're all derived from Latin, which is the ancient language they used in Rome thousands of years ago. Contrary to popular belief, English is not a Romance language. It's actually a West Germanic language, which puts it in the same class as German, Flemish, and Yiddish. Despite this, Spanish and English are a lot more similar than, say, English and German. In fact, Spanish is probably the most similar, commonly used language to English, and many words are similar, if not exactly the same. Likewise, many names are also similar, if not the same. I remember, though, on my first day in Argentina, I met some Argentinians, and I asked them what their names were, and the first one told me, Paula. And I was like, what the hell? I've never heard that name in my life, so I had to repeat it. Paula. I couldn't get it. So then I had to write it down. P-A-U-L-A. Ow. Oh, it's Paula. Jesus, that's easy. So this type of situation would happen to me all the time in my first days, you know? Paula, very similar names, but like I would know the name, but I wouldn't know the name until I saw it written down like that. Likewise, the same thing would happen when I would say my name, Patrick. This was a fairly common experience, but I remember being in line for a McDonald's and one of the workers asked me for my name, so I responded, Patrick. She couldn't understand me, so I tried changing the pronunciation, Patrick, to no avail. It didn't work out. So, out of frustration, I eventually just said, Patricio. And she's like, oh, Patricio. So, this was a fairly common experience, and when people assumed I was Argentino, a guy from Argentina, I decided to just say my name was Patricio. It was a lot more simple, and people had a lot less trouble understanding Patricio than Patrick. For similar reasons, I didn't use my nickname Pat in Argentina. I switched to the more Spanish nickname for Pat, which is Pato. I thought that was kind of funny because it's almost exactly the same as my Japanese name, Pato. I told you, Japanese and Spanish are surprisingly similar sometimes. Anyways, later I remembered, though, that Pato actually means duck in Spanish. In fact, Donald Duck is named Pato Donald in Spanish, and Daffy Duck is called Pato Lucas. In fact, I got a chance to work on a farm in Argentina for about a month, and while I was there, one of the ducks had a little baby duck, so I asked the owner of the farm if I could name the baby duckling. The name I came up with was Pat Owens. I think they later sold that duck to be fed. So maybe you don't know this, but in very much the same way that English and Spanish are similar, Japanese and Korean are similar. You see, both languages originally come from Chinese. Korean is much easier to read than Japanese. Their writing system is called Hangul. It's super interesting. I want to teach you about it. I don't really have the time now, so maybe later. Anyways, Hangul looks like this. Hangul. Koreans use Hangul 99% of the time, but when they're writing their own name, sometimes they use Hangul, but when they're signing their name on an official document, they'll use something called Hanja, which are the original Chinese characters that their names come from. You might remember that the Japanese call these characters kanji. You see, Koreans usually only have 3-syllable names. The first syllable is their family name, and the second and third syllables are their first name. Most of the time, all three of these characters have a corresponding hanja that they come from. That means they have a corresponding Chinese character that has some kind of meaning. For instance, in Hangul, my English name Patrick would become Peturik. I don't go by Pat in Korean because it sounds way too similar to the word pet, so everybody thinks I'm an animal. I do actually have a Korean name, though, and I sometimes use it. It isn't Patrick. It kind of started as a joke, but it stuck after a while. So my Korean name is Oh Mambok. My first name, therefore, in Korean is Mambok. Mambok is a very old-fashioned countryside name. My understanding of Mambok is it's somewhere between Cletus and Jebediah. It's somewhere in the middle, I think. The reason I like that name, though, is because it has a really good meaning. You see, in Korean, man can mean many or lot, and bok means luck. So my first name means a lot of luck. If you know me, you probably already know that I'm a really lucky guy. I should probably be dead by now, but somehow I've survived life. And my family name is Owens, so my family name in Korean just becomes O, Owens, O. So my full name is Oh Mambok, and Oh Mambok actually has a slightly different meaning. You see, when you put it all together, O can also mean 5 in Korean, and Man can also mean 10,000. So not only does Oh Mambok mean a lot of luck, it means specifically 50,000 luck. So if you ever need any luck, just ask. I've got plenty to share. Anyways, I'm really sick of talking about names. I'm done for today. I have one question for today. What do you think about foreigners taking English names when they go to an English-speaking country? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? And why? So, I'm tired. I'm going to leave, and I guess I'll see you next week. So, peace.